Riddick, 2013, plunges viewers back into the dark and dangerous universe of Richard B. Riddick, the infamous Furyan anti-hero. Picking up after the events of the Chronicles of Riddick, the film finds its titular character voiced by Vin Diesel in a drastically altered state. Once the reluctant Lord Marshal of the Necromongers, Riddick has been betrayed and left for dead on a desolate sun-scorched planet teeming with hostile alien life. This brutal environment forces him to shed the trappings of leadership and reconnect with his primal survival instincts, reverting to the cunning and ruthless killer he once was. The narrative quickly establishes Riddick's struggle for survival against the planet's vicious fauna, highlighting his adaptability and resilience. His intentional activation of a mercenary beacon serves as a calculated gamble, drawing two distinct groups of bounty hunters to his location. One led by the arrogant and mercenary Santana seeks Riddick's head for a hefty reward. The other, headed by the more disciplined and vengeful Johns, has a deeply personal motive connected to Riddick's past. This convergence sets the stage for a deadly cat-and-mouse game, not just between Riddick and his pursuers but also among the mercenaries themselves as they battle for dominance and survival against both Riddick and the planet's escalating threats. The film is a return to the grittier, more suspenseful tone of Pitch Black, focusing on survival horror and Riddick's mastery of the environment and his predatory instincts. The film opens with Riddick gravely wounded and abandoned on a desolate planet. He narrates how he has been repeatedly crossed off the list and left for dead, noting that this current predicament, a legendary bad day, is nothing new. He reflects on his past as the Lord Marshal of the Necromongers, a position he acquired in the Chronicles of Riddick, and how he was betrayed and left to die. He questions how he allowed himself to be blindsided. A flashback shows Riddick as Lord Marshal struggling with the responsibilities and the attempts on his life. Commander Vako, a high-ranking Necromonger, approaches him, noticing Riddick's weariness. Riddick reveals his true desire, to find Furya, his homeworld, which was purged from all records. Vako, eager for transcendence, which implies taking Riddick's place as Lord Marshal, offers to help, claiming the only map to Furya is in his head. Riddick accepts and Vako dispatches a ship for him. However, the ship does not take Riddick to Furya. Instead, he is stranded on a harsh alien world. He realizes he's been played again, his efforts to be civilized having dulled his edge. With a renewed sense of primal survival, he declares he must zero the clock and reconnect with his animalistic instincts. He battles the planet's dangerous fauna, including a formidable three-legged predator which he eventually domesticates into a loyal companion. He also encounters a venomous scorpion-like creature which he learns to handle. After some time, Riddick discovers a dormant mercenary beacon. He activates it, knowing it will attract bounty hunters but also provide a way off the planet. Two ships arrive, one led by Santana, a ruthless and arrogant mercenary seeking Riddick's head for a bounty, and the other by Johns, a more calculating and disciplined mercenary. Johns has a personal vendetta against Riddick as Riddick killed his father, revealed to be William J. Johns from Pitch Black. Santana's crew is immediately overconfident while Johns' team, including the skilled sniper Dahl, is more cautious. Riddick, using his superior stealth and knowledge of the terrain, begins to pick off Santana's men one by one. The planet experiences a dangerous rain event which unleashes swarms of aquatic predatory creatures. This forces both mercenary groups to seek shelter, further complicating their hunt for Riddick. Riddick's initial target is a power node essential for space travel, which is secured in a fortified locker on Santana's ship. He orchestrates a series of psychological attacks and direct assaults, creating chaos and fear among the mercenaries. He cleverly uses the environment and the creatures to his advantage. Santana's crew becomes increasingly paranoid and desperate as their numbers dwindle. Riddick is relentless, demonstrating his signature stealth and brutal efficiency. He takes down several mercenaries, including Falco, a member of Santana's crew who he seemingly uses as bait. Johns and Dahl realize Riddick is not just a target but a master tactician. They also begin to suspect that Santana is underestimating Riddick's capabilities, seeing him merely as a common convict. The climax approaches as the rain intensifies, making the planet even more treacherous with the emerging predatory creatures. Riddick, having acquired one of the power nodes, proposes a fair trade, the node for passage off the planet. He communicates this by leaving a message and a bloody handprint indicating his presence within their base. Santana, enraged and dismissive, refuses to believe Riddick could have breached their security and even gotten the key to the locker off his neck without him knowing. Johns, recognizing Riddick's cunning, understands that Riddick could have indeed taken the key, copied it, and returned it without Santana's knowledge. He urges Santana to open the locker with caution, realizing that Riddick might have rigged it. Santana, fueled by ego, attempts to open the locker himself despite warnings from Johns and his own crew. The suspense builds as Santana struggles with the lock. After several attempts, he manages to open it, revealing that Riddick has indeed taken a power node. This confirms Riddick's infiltration and intelligence. The remaining mercenaries are left in a precarious position, trapped on a deadly planet with a highly dangerous adversary and an impending creature onslaught, while Riddick now holds a crucial bargaining chip. The film ends with the realization that they are at Riddick's mercy, setting the stage for the final confrontation and escape. The mercenary groups, now united under Johns' command, begin their hunt for Riddick. Johns implements a strategic plan, sealing Riddick's known cave lair with phosphor grenades to force him into the open and deploying repeaters for consistent radio communication. Dahl, the skilled sniper, is positioned on a hill overlooking the area while other crew members secure the jet, hugs the fast ground vehicles to limit Riddick's mobility. Santana, still fixated on the bounty, is less concerned with strategy, instead attempting to bait Riddick over the radio. Johns and Santana clash over the retrieved power nodes. Santana believes they can simply combine the nodes from both ships to power one vessel, but Johns explains that the ships are incompatible and attempting to mix the nodes would fry the systems. This revelation leaves them stranded without the ability to leave the planet, much to Santana's frustration. Diaz, another mercenary, suggests he could hunt Riddick down alone with a jet hog, but Johns dismisses the idea as too risky. Riddick, listening in on their communications using a captured radio, taunts Santana, confirming he has Falco's radio and that backup is a long way off. Riddick then makes a bold move, appearing on a ridge in plain sight, drawing the mercenaries out. Johns and Santana confront him. Johns reveals his true motivation: to uncover what happened to his father, William J. Johns, who was killed by Riddick years ago on a similar desolate planet. Riddick ever direct confirms he killed Johns's father, stating that he was a junkie who would have sacrificed a child to save himself. This infuriates Johns, who refuses to believe his father was such a man. The conversation is interrupted by Santana, who mockingly calls Riddick box boy, referencing Riddick's earlier threat. Riddick, unfazed, proposes a new deal. He will leave one power node in the open for them if they give him the other node and one ship. He gives them until the approaching rainstorm hits their station to decide. As the storm approaches, a new threat emerges. Thousands of monstrous scorpion-like creatures previously dormant in the dry season begin to surface, drawn by the rain. The creatures overwhelm the mercenaries' position. Santana, still blinded by his greed and hatred, tries to open the fortified locker with the remaining node despite Johns's warnings. Riddick, now free of his chains, begins to strategically eliminate the attacking creatures, showcasing his superior combat skills and night vision. He deliberately provokes Santana, predicting that Johns will fold under pressure just like his father. He also taunts Dahl, promising a sexual encounter once the chaos subsides, further highlighting his aggressive confidence. As the creatures swarm, chaos erupts. Johns is forced to make a difficult decision. He reluctantly agrees to Riddick's terms, understanding that Riddick is their only chance of survival. With the deal struck, Johns releases Riddick from his chains. Riddick, now fully unleashed, fights alongside the remaining mercenaries. He and Johns retrieve the power nodes, battling through hordes of creatures. During the intense fight, Riddick and Johns have a crucial exchange about Johns's father. Riddick reiterates that William J. Johns was a morphine addict who would have sacrificed a child for his own survival, a truth Johns initially refuses to accept. However, as the situation becomes more dire and Johns sees his own crew members prioritizing their lives over others, he begins to grasp the harsh reality of survival and the possibility that Riddick was telling the truth about his father's character. Diaz, in a moment of panic and self-preservation, attempts to sabotage one of the jet hogs to ensure his own escape, revealing his own self-serving nature. Riddick foils this attempt, confirming his earlier assessment of the mercenaries' inherent flaws. In the harrowing escape, Riddick, Johns, and Dahl manage to reach one of the ships. Santana, however, is not so lucky. He is trapped and brutally killed by the creatures, his head ending up in the very box he had mocked Riddick with. Riddick, having secured a ship and a power node, prepares to leave the planet. Dahl, shaken by the ordeal but also strangely drawn to Riddick's raw power, asks him where he's going next. Riddick simply states, "Sooner or later we all have to head home." He tells Dahl to keep it warm for him and advises Johns to keep a strong spine, a final jab about his father's perceived weakness. The film concludes with Riddick now alone, venturing into deep space on his stolen ship. He receives a communication revealing that Baco is still alive and has achieved transcendence, becoming the new Lord Marshal of the Necromongers. Riddick, however, shows no interest in returning to that life, instead choosing his own path. He is once again a lone wolf, free from the burdens of leadership and the constraints of civilization, ready for whatever the universe throws at him next. If you enjoy watching this video, then subscribe to Angel Recaps for the latest movies explanation.